They say you can measure the death of a marriage not in arguments, but in silence. And let me tell you, ours was dead silent the week it all clicked. It started with a Tuesday. Why is it always a Tuesday? I came home early. Not because I suspected anything, but because the air conditioner finally gave up and the house was baking like a casserole. I walked in, shirt damp, tie loose, and what did I see? A suitcase. Hers. Open on the bed. Half packed. Nothing dramatic. Just the kind of thing someone does when they're about to go on a work trip they never mentioned. And that's when I found it. Her wedding ring. Nestled in the velvet pouch of her makeup bag like it had been hiding from guilt itself. You know how they say rings carry energy? This one felt colder than metal had any right to be. Monica was supposed to be wearing it. She always did. Even in the shower. Even when she did yoga in the living room and pretended I wasn't real. So I stood there, in that small master bedroom we painted calm gray during the honeymoon phase, holding the ring she'd promised to never take off. Unless her finger was swollen or her conscience was. She walked in 5 minutes later. No knocking. No warning. Just keys jingling and the sound of her shoes like gunshots on the hardwood. "Hey," she said, pretending not to notice the suitcase or the fact I was holding her ring like it had just confessed to a crime. "Forget something?" I asked, raising the tiny gold band. She paused, just long enough to calculate her next lie. "Oh, that," she said. It kept slipping off during work. The air in my office is dry. My hands shrink. Now, I've been called many things. Too patient. Too practical. But never stupid. I nodded like I believed her. Because that's the move, right? You don't confront a liar with truth. You feed her rope and wait. From that moment on, I became a quiet observer of my own life. Her late-night texts. Her back-to-back meetings that somehow left her looking like she'd just walked out of a perfume ad. The gym bag with dry sneakers, but a freshly opened box of mints. Then came the name, Eli. Found it once on a Starbucks cup in our trash. Weird, considering she hates coffee. Check the timestamp. 8:14 a.m. on a Sunday. I was still in bed. She said she'd gone on a meditative walk. I remember laughing. Not loudly. Just that soft, bitter chuckle of a man slowly putting the puzzle together and realizing it spells, "You're an idiot," in capital letters. But I played along. I offered to drop her off at the conference. She said no. I suggested we have dinner with her coworkers. She said they were all busy. I once called her office to surprise her. Her assistant told me she was out sick. Odd. She texted me a selfie from a rooftop bar that night. Again, I said nothing. Because I was collecting things. Not out of paranoia. Out of preparation. Like a man gathering wood before winter. But here's where it gets rich. 2 weeks after the makeup bag discovery, she sat across from me at breakfast, eating avocado toast like a woman who hadn't already checked out of the marriage. I asked if she wanted to take a weekend trip together. She smiled and said, "Let's wait until things calm down at work." She didn't realize that at that exact moment, I had a private investigator sitting in a car across from the so-called office she hadn't entered in 4 days. And this investigator? Oh, he delivered. Photos. Logs. A video of her exiting a hotel room with her hair a mess and her heels in her hand. Laughing with a man I recognized only because he'd once shook my hand at a company Christmas party and called me sir. His name? Eli Carter. Not a coworker. Not a friend. A project manager from a different city who'd been helping remotely since March. Translation. The guy she'd been helping into her hotel room. Now, I know what you're thinking. Confrontation? Fireworks? Nope. That's not how I play it. I let her keep digging. By the time I received the full report from the private investigator, I had enough evidence to ruin Monica in every social circle she ever tried to orbit. Not that I planned to just expose her. No, that would be far too easy. And frankly, too satisfying for her. Because Monica, my dear wife, fed on drama the way plants feed on sunlight. So instead, I started making moves. Subtle ones. First, I pulled half the money out of our joint account and placed it into a separate legal trust. The kind with too many clauses for someone like Monica to unravel after the fact. I used the reason she always used when she reorganized the closet without asking. It just felt right. Second, I called her sister, Lauren. You know that one relative everyone avoids at Thanksgiving because she's blunt, confrontational, and surprisingly loyal to me? Yeah, I called her. Invited her to dinner. Told her everything. Are you kidding me? Lauren gasped between sips of wine. Wish I was, I said calmly. And you've said nothing to Monica? Not yet. She leaned back. You're either the pettiest man alive or the most patient. I smiled. Both. Third, I started planning Monica's surprise anniversary party. Yep, that's right. I used her own vanity against her. The woman loved attention, loved the idea of being celebrated in a room full of mirrors disguised as friends. The invitations went out within the week. I told everyone it was a formal affair. Black tie, champagne, toasts, and best of all, a slideshow. You're really doing this? My buddy Marcus asked, eyebrows practically in orbit. Absolutely. But how do you plan on keeping your cool? That's the best part. I don't have to. Because you see, Monica still thought she was ahead of me. Still believed I was the same man who apologized for things I didn't do just to keep the peace. But this time, I wasn't the peacekeeper. I was the architect. The night of the party arrived. The house looked like a wedding reception met a political fundraiser. Candlelight, string quartet, charcuterie boards no one could pronounce. Monica walked in wearing a red dress with a slit up the side and a confidence that could choke a room. She kissed my cheek like nothing was broken. Did you really plan all this? She whispered. Every detail, I said. You deserve it. And she smiled. Because the one thing about narcissists? They always underestimate quiet men. Halfway through the evening, I took the mic. Tapped it twice. Thank you all for being here. Tonight's about celebration. About years of memories, love, and devotion. She raised her glass across the room, smiling like a pageant queen. And what better way to honor that, I continued, than to share some of those memories with you all. The lights dimmed. The projector whirred. And up came the photos. But not our photos. Monica, in that very same red dress. Outside a hotel. Eli Carter 2 steps behind her, fixing his tie. Another photo, her hand on his back, both of them laughing at a private joke. The room shifted like a boat in a storm. Forks paused mid-bite. You could hear the air get sucked out like someone cracked a window in space. The final image? Monica's wedding ring, sitting on a nightstand, next to a room key. I didn't speak. I didn't move. I just let the slideshow end. Monica didn't scream. She didn't throw her drink or faint or sprint out the door. No, she stood there, blinking. Silent. The kind of silence people use when they know there's nothing left to say. And then, softly, I added, I'd like to thank Monica for showing me the difference between loyalty and convenience. I stepped down. Applause didn't follow. Just whispers. And Monica? She disappeared into the night like a magician who forgot how to finish her trick. But the real revenge? 3 days after the anniversary massacre, Monica still hadn't called. Not a text. Not a, how could you? Not even one of those passive-aggressive emoji reactions she used to throw like darts in our group chat. I suppose when you get exposed in front of 40 people, including your boss, your yoga instructor, and the barista who knows your matcha order, you tend to go quiet. But me? I was just getting started. I took Thursday off work. Told my boss I needed a mental health day, which, in fairness, wasn't a lie. I just didn't mention that my mental health plan involved clearing out every trace of Monica from the house before she got a chance to spin the narrative. First stop, our walk-in closet, or as she once called it, her sanctuary. I packed up everything. Every blouse, every stiletto, every overpriced cardigan with holes she called distressed. I folded them with surgical precision and laid them into the very same suitcase she had started filling before her fake work trip. Funny how life loops back on itself. While I was packing, I found something strange. Tucked inside her makeup bag, same one with the ring, was a note. Not written to me. No, this one was for Eli. It said, he suspects nothing. I'll tell him after the party. Can't live a double life forever. Oh, Monica, you didn't just live a double life. You tried to stage your exit like it was a Broadway matinee. And I had already bought front row tickets. Once her clothes were packed, I moved on to the office. The shared one. The one I designed so we could work together from home. I deleted her logins, changed the Wi-Fi password, and set the computer wallpaper to a quote that said, "Loyalty is rare. If you find it, keep it. If you fake it, don't be surprised when someone stops pretending." Subtle? No. But satisfying? Like a glass of cold water after mowing the lawn. By the afternoon, the house had a fresh energy, like it had exhaled for the first time in years. Her perfume? Gone. Her chaos? Boxed. Her wedding ring? Still in my pocket. Around 4 p.m., the doorbell rang. It wasn't Monica. It was Eli. Yep. Real bold move. Must have thought I'd be at work. He stood there holding a bouquet like this was The Bachelor, Homewrecker edition. I opened the door slowly, gave him a look so flat it could have been a warning label. "Hey," he said, shifting from foot to foot. "Is Monica home?" I leaned against the doorframe. "She will be. But not here." He blinked. "I don't follow." "No, I don't imagine you do. But since you're here, maybe you can return something to her." I reached into my jacket pocket and dropped her ring into his palm. "Tell her I found it exactly where I found you. Out of place." He opened his mouth, probably to launch into some speech about how they didn't mean for it to happen, but I had already closed the door. The lock clicked behind him like a gavel. That night, Monica finally texted. "Monica, you humiliated me." "Me, no. I unveiled you. Big difference." "Monica, you think this makes you strong?" "Me, no. But it proves you're weak." She didn't reply, but I knew I'd hear from her again. People like Monica don't exit gracefully. They slither back. They call it closure, or a second chance, or just needing clarity. But I wasn't taking any more calls. I had set the board. I had flipped it. And next? Well, next comes the part where I don't just end the marriage. I make sure she remembers me every time she tries to start over. Revenge doesn't have to be fire and fury. It doesn't have to involve screaming or scenes or keying someone's car while blasting breakup songs in your head. No, the best revenge is quiet, calculated, surgical, and above all, legal. After I dropped her ring into Eli's soft little hand and sent him on his way, I didn't celebrate. There was no smirk, no toast to myself in the mirror. That's not my style. I just went back inside, fed the dog, and folded laundry. Because the best way to throw someone like Monica off balance is to keep your own. Now, remember, Monica hadn't filed for divorce yet. She thought she was still in control. She assumed I was either too shocked to move or too emotional to plan. What she didn't realize is I'd already spoken to a lawyer 2 weeks prior. A friend of a friend, quiet, brilliant, efficient, the kind of man who doesn't ask, "Do you want to ruin her?" But, "How much of her do you want when we're done?" We got to work. Turns out, Monica had made a crucial mistake. The house was in my name, bought before the marriage. She had never bothered putting herself on the deed because, and I quote, "That stuff's boring, babe," which meant the house. Mine. And remember that little boutique she opened last spring? Monica Ray Interiors, or whatever overpriced name she slapped on a mood board. I funded it. Fully. In writing. The money came from my premarital savings. Transferred with documentation that even her therapist couldn't gaslight her way around. Which meant that little passion project she bragged about on Instagram. Technically mine, too. So, I froze the accounts tied to the business. Not out of spite. Out of principle. Let her explain to her assistant why paychecks bounced and vendor orders got delayed. It's not revenge. It's accounting. But here's where it got poetic. The night after the party, I'd removed her access to everything. Our streaming accounts, the family Spotify, the group calendar where she color-coded her yoga classes, and his initials next to fake client meetings. I even changed the Netflix profile names. Hers became, "You lied." The dog's? Still here. Mine? Upgraded. And I left the password hint as, "Guess who knows?" She noticed. Because I got an email notification the next morning. "Monica attempted to reset your password." Too late. Meanwhile, the lawyer filed the initial divorce papers. The kind with attached evidence, photos, dates, testimony. Bulletproof. And with it, a petition for exclusive use of the home during the proceedings. Based on marital misconduct. You could almost hear her scream echo through the judge's chambers. She tried calling, of course, 5 times in one day. Left voicemails that started as sad, then swung into angry, then swerved straight into delusional. The last one, "We can still fix this if you just stop being dramatic." I didn't answer. Instead, I sent her an email with 3 attachments. A list of her belongings now boxed in the garage, ready for pickup. A PDF of the initial divorce filing, with highlighted sections for infidelity and abandonment. And a photo of the new lock on the front door. Captioned, "Welcome to your new chapter." But the best part? The part that still makes me chuckle during traffic? I didn't block her. I muted her. So she could keep sending me messages. So she could think she still had access. So she could scream into the void, not knowing I wasn't even listening. And then, because I am nothing if not thorough, I launched the final phase, the reputation shift. You see, people like Monica rely on the illusion. on charm, on curated social media narratives that make them seem like the victim when things go south. So I got ahead of it. I made one single post. Just one. A photo of our wedding rings, hers still in its velvet pouch. Captioned, "Some people take their vows seriously. Some people take them off at hotels." That post did numbers. And I didn't respond to the comments. I didn't throw shade. I didn't name names. I just let the silence speak louder than the lie. Within days, mutual friends started texting. "Hey man, I had no idea. You handled it with class. I always thought something felt off about her." Funny, isn't it? People don't always need the whole story. Just enough truth to fill in the blanks themselves. And Monica? She realized that too late. Now, here's where it gets interesting. A week after the dust settled, she tried to spin it. Started telling people we'd grown apart. That the party was misunderstood. That I was controlling and paranoid. Which would have worked if she hadn't left her Instagram on public. Because she posted a story. From Eli's apartment. Glass of wine. Candles. Same red dress from the party hanging on a chair behind her. No caption. Just vibes. But someone screen recorded it. Sent it to me. And I forwarded it to the lawyer. With a smile. Monica called the next day, sobbing. Said she felt exposed. That I didn't have to destroy her life just because ours didn't work out. I calmly replied, "You didn't destroy our life, Monica. You destroyed yours. I just showed people the trailer." Then I hung up. And I haven't heard from her since. People say revenge is a dish best served cold. Me? I serve it like coffee. Strong. Silent. And in a mug that says, "I saw this coming." I got the email on a Sunday morning. Not a lawyer. Not Monica. Just a generic Gmail account with a subject line that read, "You win." No body text. Just a single attachment. A scanned letter. Monica's signature at the bottom, smudged like maybe she'd been crying when she signed it. The letter read like a script someone else wrote for her. "I acknowledge full responsibility for the breakdown of our marriage. I am prepared to vacate all claims to the property, the business, and personal belongings acquired during our marriage. I would appreciate privacy moving forward." You know that feeling when you finally walk out of a stuffy room into open air? That's what it felt like. Not triumph. Not revenge. Just oxygen. I didn't respond to the email. Didn't need to. Some endings don't require applause. By then, she'd been fully excommunicated from my life. The house. Clean. The business? Quietly liquidated. I shut down Monica Ray Interiors within 72 hours. Posted a notice online that read, "Permanently closed due to a lack of vision." I sold the furniture for pennies on the dollar, just enough to cover a dinner with dessert. The irony tasted better than the tiramisu. But the thing is, divorce isn't a clean cut. It's not a guillotine. It's more like dental surgery. Even after the tooth is gone, your tongue keeps poking the hole. You don't want to, but your brain can't help itself. Case in point, I caught myself checking her Instagram. Just once. It was public again. Big mistake. She was in Santorini. Big sun hat. Big sunglasses. Big lie. Caption read, "Healing. Blue heart. Healing. Right. With who? Eli? Doubt it." Word on the grapevine said they fizzled out after he realized she couldn't hold a conversation that wasn't about herself, throw pillows, or astrology. Apparently, she told him he was a Scorpio and therefore too emotionally intense. He's a Gemini. So yeah, that ended well. I closed the tab and exhaled. Felt like closing a chapter one didn't want to read, much less star in. But Monica's reach wasn't done yet. 2 weeks later, I got a message from her mother. Yeah, her mother. "Logan," she wrote, "I don't know all the details, but I want you to know I'm ashamed of how Monica's behaved. You didn't deserve this. None of it. You were the best thing that ever happened to her." Now, when your ex's mother says that, you don't gloat. You pause. Because that's how deep the wreckage went. Even her own family was choosing distance. Not because I asked them to. Because Monica finally made herself unlovable to the people who'd spent a lifetime making excuses for her. And that's when I decided to disappear properly. I filed the change of address forms. Moved out of that house. Got a loft downtown. Exposed brick, tall windows, coffee shop 2 blocks down that plays jazz and doesn't ask too many questions. I didn't tell Monica, or her friends, or my old coworkers. I just faded like smoke from a fire nobody talks about anymore. And I reinvented everything. New job? Remote. Consulting. Pays more, requires less. New phone number? Private. New friends? Not really. Just real ones. Fewer, quieter, better. New dog? His name's Murphy. He doesn't cheat, and he doesn't lie. He just wants food and the occasional head scratch. Honestly, same. Funny thing is, life got better. Not louder, not flashier, just simpler. I started going to the gym again. Not out of revenge. Not because of some revenge body cliche. Just because I wanted to remember what it felt like to belong in my own skin. I picked up old hobbies. Built furniture. Read philosophy. Learn how to cook something that isn't scrambled eggs or microwave disappointment. I even took a solo trip to Colorado. Rented a cabin. Brought nothing but books, boots, and bourbon. Sat by the fire each night thinking about nothing. And that was the real revenge. The quiet kind. Not her seeing me thrive, but me not caring whether she sees it. Of course, that didn't stop her from trying. 3 months post-divorce, she sent me a letter. Handwritten. A rare species of communication in this age of emojis and emotional avoidance. It said, "Logan, I've done a lot of thinking. I was wrong about everything. I thought I wanted freedom, but all I got was noise. The truth is, you were home. And I left home for a vacation that turned into a nightmare. If there's any part of you that still remembers the good, please call me. Monica." I read it twice. Then I fed it to the fireplace. Because the truth is, I did remember the good. But the best part? Was walking away from it. You see, there's a myth that people like Monica tell themselves, that they can destroy something, walk away, and come back to find it patiently waiting. But I wasn't a doormat. I was a doorway. And she slammed it one too many times. I didn't close it. I removed it. So that's where she is now, standing in front of a wall where an opening used to be, wondering why she can't get back inside. And me? I'm on the other side, with peace, a good dog, and zero interest in building new doors for old liars. Some people think closure is a conversation, an honest sit-down, a tearful hug, a little coffee shop redemption arc where someone says, "I messed up," and the other replies, "I forgive you." Yeah, that's cute, for movies. In real life, closure is a solo project. I hadn't heard from Monica in weeks after I turned her heartfelt, handwritten, "Please call me" letter into fireplace seasoning. It was quiet, peaceful, the kind of quiet you forget exists until you escape someone who fills every silence with suspicion. But ghosts always come back, especially the ones who don't know they're dead. It was late afternoon when I saw her again. I was grabbing coffee at a bookstore cafe, one of those indie places with hardwood floors and employees who quote Rilke unsolicited. I just picked up a new copy of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. The irony, not lost on me. When I looked up, and there she was. Monica, wearing sunglasses indoors, latte in hand, standing at the end of the self-help aisle like a tragic metaphor. She spotted me, froze, then smiled. "Logan." I nodded. "Monica." She took a hesitant step forward, then another. I could already see the script forming in her head. Chapter titles like Mea Culpa, We Were Good Once, and This Is Still Love. "You look healthy," she said. "You look readable," I replied, eyeing the copy of Attached she held in her hand. She chuckled nervously. I didn't. "Do you mind if I sit for a minute?" I gestured toward an empty table. "Be my guest." She slid into the seat across from me like it was home. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't detonated our marriage and skipped town with the blast still ringing in my ears. "I've been in therapy," she said. I sipped my coffee. "Good. They said I should apologize. That I need to take responsibility." "That's a solid start," I said. "How far along are you?" "Step 1 or 2. She winced. "Look, I know you're angry." "I'm not." I leaned back in my chair. I was. Past tense. But anger burns out. Now. I'm just allergic to nonsense. She fell quiet. "I lost Eli," she said eventually, like it was a plot twist. "Lost or released?" I asked. "There's a difference." She tilted her head. "He wasn't you." "Yeah, I know. That was sort of the point, wasn't it?" She looked out the window like she was auditioning for a melancholic indie film. I gave her a solid 15 seconds of silence, just long enough for her to feel it. Then I stood up. "That's it?" she asked, startled. "Yep. I thought we could talk." "We did," I said. "And you know what? I'm proud of you for saying sorry. Really. But you're looking for a version of me that doesn't exist anymore. That guy? The one who waited for you to come home. The one who folded your laundry and ignored the perfume that didn't belong to him? He doesn't live here anymore." Her face crumbled a little at the edges. "But not from love. From ego." "You don't have to be cruel," she said. "This isn't cruelty. I said. This is clarity. I walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't text later. Didn't post a cryptic quote about closure or healing or the lunar cycle. Just walked 3 blocks home, let the dog out, cracked a beer, and sat in the sun. Because here's what they don't tell you about being betrayed. You don't heal by revisiting the crime scene. You heal by moving so far beyond it. The GPS doesn't even recognize the route anymore. Now, I'd love to say that was the last time she tried. But Monica was persistent, in the way storms are. Sudden, loud, pointless. She tried again 2 weeks later, this time through a mutual friend. Lauren, remember her? Monica's sister. The one who secretly took my side the night of the slideshow scandal. Lauren called out of the blue. She's not doing well, she said. I imagine not, I replied. She says you're cold now. She spent 2 years microwaving my dignity. Forgive me if I'm not warm. There was a pause. Then, she asked if I'd find out if you'd be willing to meet one last time. Just one final talk. No tricks. She's letting go of the apartment, selling the car. I think reality's finally caught up. I considered that for a moment. Tell her I wish her peace, I said. But I'm already living mine. Lauren sighed. I figured. She's not used to you having boundaries. She's not used to me having power. I corrected. That was the end of that. No more calls. No more letters. No more surprise sightings between the poetry section and the herbal tea aisle. Monica finally understood what it meant to be cut off. Not blocked, not ghosted. Just irrelevant. That's the real punishment. Not rage. Not revenge. Indifference. I never went scorched earth. I went sterile ground. Nothing left to burn. No fuel. Just empty space where her chaos used to live. And it was beautiful. See, when someone betrays you, they expect drama. They expect tears, shouting, a monologue, maybe even a breakdown in the rain. What they don't expect is for you to level up, in silence, with receipts in one hand and peace in the other. That's how you haunt someone without ever sending a text. That's how you win. Let's get one thing straight. I didn't become a better man because she left. I became a better man because she gave me a reason to stop trying to fix someone who was hellbent on staying broken. That was the turning point. People love a comeback story, but they always skip the part where you sit in your car with the engine off, wondering if you should start it, or just sit there forever. Yeah, I had those days. The in-between days. Not rock bottom, not recovery, just the middle space where everything feels like a shrug. But then something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. I didn't shave my head or start bench pressing my sadness. I just stopped giving energy to things that didn't feed me. Stopped answering questions that didn't deserve answers. Stopped checking Monica's social media like it held a weather report for my future. I started journaling again. Not the Dear Diary kind. More like, here's what I learned today about not being a doormat. Things like, you don't have to forgive people who aren't sorry. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you build. If you're always the one making peace, maybe you're living in a war. I got serious about therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I didn't want to carry her damage into my next chapter. And when I say next chapter, I mean it literally. I started writing. First just to vent. Then for real. A blog, quietly titled The Man I Met After Her. It wasn't about Monica. Not directly. It was about me. The man I found underneath the grief, beneath the routines, the expectations, the need to be someone's anchor while they were busy becoming a storm. And you know what happened? It blew up. Not viral, but enough. Enough that strangers emailed me things like, "This helped me leave someone I should have left years ago," or "Thank you for putting into words what I never could." Funny how many people are silently drowning in the same story. This one came 6 months after the divorce was finalized. I was at the dog park with Murphy, my rescue mutt who loves fetch but hates authority. My phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I ignored it. Then came the text. "You seem happy. I hope that's real." No name. Just that. But I knew. Of course I did. I didn't reply. I just took a photo of Murphy midair, chasing a ball like it owed him money. Posted it to my blog with the caption, "This is what peace looks like. No history, no manipulation, just joy with bad aim." She read it. I know because the traffic spike came 5 minutes later. 2 days later, another email. "I don't know how to move on. Everything reminds me of you." Still no apology. Still no ownership. Just echoes of the same old ghost. I didn't answer. Because here's what no one tells you. You don't owe people closure. Especially not the ones who detonated your life, walked away, and called it a mistake. once the smoke cleared. Sometimes you just keep walking. And that's the whole response. It was something dumb. A breakfast burrito. Eggs, avocado, a stupid amount of hot sauce. I took a bite and laughed because I remembered how Monica hated spicy food. Said it was aggressive. Said I had childish taste buds. And there I was, burning my mouth and loving it. That's when I realized I wasn't thinking about her with pain. Just observation. Like a scar you forgot you had until someone points it out. That was freedom. Real freedom isn't blocking someone. It's forgetting to. I started going on dates. Nothing serious at first. Just coffee and conversation types. Some fizzled. Some were awkward. One woman spent 10 straight minutes talking about her cat's Instagram following. But eventually, one stuck. Her name's Elise. She listens. She laughs without sarcasm. And when I told her about what happened with Monica, she didn't say, "That's awful." She said, "That must have been lonely." And I felt seen. Not pitted. Not analyzed. Just understood. Turns out, that's rarer than attraction. I saw Monica once more, by accident. Downtown farmer's market. Murphy was sniffing herbs like he was planning dinner. I looked up, and there she was, Monica. Alone. Holding a bag of overpriced kale, and that same too big purse she used to use for hiding secrets. She saw me. I smiled. Not the polite kind. Not the smug kind. Just a real, peaceful smile. The kind that says, "You're not the villain. You're just a chapter." And I finished the book. She didn't smile back. Just blinked. And I kept walking. Because the final move is no move at all. She taught me a lot. About lies. About ego. About how people will love you right up to the moment you stop enabling them. But she also taught me how to find the real version of myself. The one who doesn't chase. Who doesn't beg. Who doesn't stay where he's unwelcome. So if you're reading this, and you're still with someone who makes you doubt your own worth, walk. Not because they're cheating. Not because you have proof. But because you feel it in your bones that love shouldn't feel like proving yourself to someone who keeps moving the goalposts. Walk. And don't look back. Because someone out there is building a life that fits you without forcing you to shrink. I found mine. And I promise, so will you. Logan.